today we're going to talk about the literature review. And the literature review is incredibly important. It's not just an incredibly important skill, because I know some of you have done some literature reviewing in the past, but it's something that you get better and better and better at the more exposure you have to it. And it's something in science that you simply cannot skip. Okay, so why would you do a literature review? Well, I mean, what is literature review? You probably all know this. It's an examination of the body of work that has been written about your particular topic. Okay? What will the literature review do for you? Why am I doing this, and why am I making you do this? It will help you understand the state of knowledge on your topic, which you've got to do. You know, you have some interesting, innovative ideas, but I can tell you there's nothing new under the sun, so somebody has thought similarly to you in the past, and so you want to find out what that is. You want to find the methodologies people have used, the theories maybe they've talked about the research with, the models they've used that other researchers have used that may be applied to your particular research question. It's going to help you ask your question better, and it's going to help you plan your data analysis much better if you have this background knowledge. It's also in the more sort of proximal, in the more moment, in the next week or two, what it's going to do is it's going to help you refine your topic. You might narrow your topic. You might find that, in fact, you have a topic that so much has been written about, there's no hope for you to read it or to contribute to it because it's very vast. So you want to narrow it down. You may realize you need to kind of expand your topic, that you sort of started out a little too narrow. And to get literature and to really have a more deep question, or you need to expand it a bit. You might focus it in a little bit. You may be interested in this question, but now you're interested in it only among young people or old people or males or females, or only on caterpillars, only on a particular tree species or something like that. So it sort of allows you to do that. And most importantly, it allows you to contribute to your area of research with something new. Science is all about something new. The other really important thing about the Lit Review is that it's the way you always introduce your research topic in your introduction, which you actually will be writing. And it's also what you use to interpret what you found. It gives you the context to interpret what you found. So if you don't do the background information, you can't create an argument for why this is important. And you also, once you have your findings at the end of the semester, you have no context with which to actually evaluate those findings. Literature review will give you both of those absolutely key, incredibly important things. So now you're totally convinced. I'm a very convincing person. If you need more convincing, come to my office. Okay. Primary source scientific literature. This is what you're going to be relying on 100%. Primary source scientific literature are, generally speaking, journal articles reporting study results. Okay? And what I mean by that is it's exactly like what you're doing. Somebody went out, they had data, they did a literature review, they did their analyses, they evaluated it within the context of their literature review and what they found, and they wrote that up. They actually wrote up their data. Okay? And that is what you're going to be focusing on. Secondary source literature, things like textbooks, handbooks, review papers, theoretical articles, magazines and newspapers. All of these things are secondary source, and you're not allowed to use them. Here is the only exception. If you are going into a topic that you know very little about, you're just interested, it would be a good idea just to read a little bit of background. You're not going to cite it on your poster or necessarily even cite it in the literature review that you're doing in the next couple of weeks. But just for background knowledge, so that it'll help you read the primary source literature more easily, I welcome you doing that, okay? So for example, people working with the Connecticut Mastery Test data, you should know a little bit about the No Child Left Behind law, right? And you may not get a lot of that when you get into the primary source literature. They may kind of assume that people know what that is and move on to the details of their data. So you can read a little bit of secondary source, but, like spend a couple hours and then move on. Okay. Problems with reliance on secondary sources. They may describe or interpret results incorrectly. So like textbooks, will tell you about a certain study. Well, maybe they're wrong. I mean, nobody's sort of keeping track. They often leave you unaware of the methods. So you just get this little bit of information about what the study was about. You may not know what the methods were like, what the participants looked like. It may not help you very much, and so that's another problem. So how do you know it's primary source? One of the easiest ways to tell it's a primary source journal article that you're actually going to want to read is that it's structured in a particular way. It has a title, it has an abstract, and the abstract, of course, is abstracting sort of a summary of all the pieces of the particular paper. It has an introduction, very similar to the one that you guys are going to write about your own topic and your own research project. It has a method section that tells you how they did the study, what the instruments were that they used, what the participants were, all of those things that you have information on about your data sets. They have the results, so the statistical analyses of the data. They have a discussion, which evaluates those findings and puts it in the context of previous literature, and then it has a reference list. So if you have a paper in your hand that has generally those sections in it, you know it's a primary source journal article.